The alien female enters heat season. The red sun was setting behind the sharp cliffs of the broken moon. Ash floated in the air, soft like dust. But it was not from wind. The planet had seen war. Too many battles. Too many dead. She walked alone, through the ruined path. Her skin was pale silver, marked with scars of survival. Her name was Arya, and she was from a warrior race that had forgotten what peace looked like. They only knew one thing: fight, survive, and reproduce. Mating was not for love, it was for duty, for keeping the bloodline strong, but now she was far from her people. Her ship had crashed. Her comm device was broken. And worst of all, her body had entered heat season. It came like a wave. Her senses grew sharper. Her skin burned with strange energy. Her mind screamed to find a male. It was not a feeling she liked. It made her feel weak. It made her feel hunted even by her own thoughts. She growled under her breath and pressed her hand against the cold rock wall. She had to find shelter before her instincts took over. That's when she smelled something. Not alien, not one of her kind, but strange, warm, alive. She moved fast, her sharp eyes scanning the quiet forest ahead. Something was moving near the trees. Not an animal. It walked on two legs. It was thin, wrapped in cloth, holding something in its hand. A human. She had only seen them in war. Weak bodies. Soft hearts. Most of them died quickly. Her people used them sometimes for labor, or worse, for breeding experiments. But this one looked different. Calm. Alone. Not a soldier. He was picking berries. Arya watched him from behind a rock. The heat in her body grew stronger. Her instincts shouted, "Take him. Mate now. Use him before the fire eats you alive." But the human didn't see her. He just looked at the sky and sighed. Why was he alone? Why was he not afraid? Suddenly he turned. His eyes met hers. They both froze. He didn't run. He didn't scream. He raised his hand slowly and spoke. "Are you lost?" She didn't answer. She didn't even understand his full words. But his voice, it was soft. Not like the shouts of war, not like the orders of her commanders. Soft. He stepped closer. Arya's heart pounded. Every nerve in her body told her to leap, to take him, to end this burning inside her. But she didn't move. He took off his pack and placed it on the ground. Then he backed away. Inside the pack was food, bread, dried meat, and clean water. Gift. No one had ever given her food without asking something in return. The heat inside her burned stronger. Her legs felt weak. Her breath was heavy, but she didn't attack. She sat down across from the pack and looked at him. He nodded and sat, too, but at a distance. He started making a small fire using stones and twigs. He didn't try to touch her. He didn't look at her body like other males did. He just made the fire and waited. Arya watched the flames grow. She didn't understand what was happening. She didn't understand why her body was calming down. The heat was still there, but her heart was not racing like before. Who was this human, and why was she not taking him? The night came slowly. The stars appeared above, silent witnesses to something new. Arya sat by the fire, her legs pulled close, her arms wrapped around them. The human gave her a blanket. She didn't know why. She was used to the cold, but she accepted it. For the first time, she felt safe near someone, not owned, not hunted, not controlled by heat, just safe. The fire cracked softly, and Arya, the warrior who only knew mating for survival, stared at the human across the flame, and something inside her whispered a new word. Not duty, not instinct, something else. Something she didn't yet understand. The first mistake. She tries to claim him. The night was deep and silent. But inside, Arya's body, the fire kept burning. Her heat season was not over. Her mind was calm, but her body screamed for release. Her race was designed for survival. Not choice, not emotion. They were taught to take what they needed. Especially during heat, she looked at the human again. He sat by the fire, his eyes half closed, breathing steady. He looked tired. Maybe even peaceful. But Arya's mind was not at peace. A memory rose inside her. Her mother's voice, cold and sharp. You take the mail. You do not ask. You do not wait. You survive. That's how it had always been. No kindness, no softness, no meaning behind it. Just duty. Just instinct. And now, in this strange moment, Arya felt those old lessons return. She stood slowly, the blanket falling from her shoulders. The cold air kissed her skin, but she didn't care. Her body was hot enough to burn. Her steps were quiet, almost like a predator moving through shadows. The human didn't move. He must have been asleep. Arya reached him. She lowered herself slowly, close to his face. She could smell him. Warm, clean, strange. Her fingers touched his shoulder, and in that moment his eyes opened, not wide, not afraid, just surprised. He didn't speak. He didn't run, but his voice was clear. What are you doing? Arya froze. She didn't know how to answer. In her culture, no one asked. Males didn't speak. They were silent, used, and forgotten. But this human looked directly into her eyes. You don't have to do this, he said softly. His voice struck something deep inside her, something older than instinct, something her people had buried long ago. Choice. The word hit her like thunder. You don't have to. She stepped back, confused, ashamed. Her legs trembled. The human sat up now, still calm, still quiet. You're not well, he said. Your body is reacting. I've read about it. Some alien species go through cycles. She nodded slowly. She didn't know how he understood, but he did. He reached for a bottle near the fire and poured water into a metal cup. He offered it to her. Drink, he said. You need to stay hydrated. Arya looked at the cup like it was a weapon. No one had ever spoken to her like this. He didn't want her body. He wanted her to be okay. Her hands shook as she took the cup and drank. Warm water touched her lips, and a strange feeling washed over her. Shame, regret, relief. All at once. She sat beside him, not too close. The fire cracked again, as if it too had something to say. Where are you from? He asked. She stayed silent. Do you have a name? Still silent. He didn't push her. Mine's Jake. Arya looked at him slowly. Jake. Such a simple name. And yet, her chest ached when she heard it. He didn't treat her like a tool. He treated her like a person. Suddenly, she stood up and walked into the woods. Not far, just enough to breathe. The cold air hit her skin, but it helped clear her mind. Behind her, Jake waited. No shouting, no chasing, just trust. Arya crouched near a tree and let her head fall against the bark. What am I becoming? She thought. Why didn't I take him like before? But deep down, she already knew the answer. Something in her had changed the moment she saw him give food instead of demands. When he looked at her eyes instead of her body. And now, her body still burned, but her heart burned even more for understanding, for answers, for him. She stayed out there for a long time. When she returned, Jake had left a space for her near the fire with the blanket folded neatly. She sat down and wrapped herself again. He looked at her, not with fear, not with need, but with quiet respect. You don't have to explain, he said. Just rest. And she did. For the first time in years, she closed her eyes near someone and felt safe. Not claimed, not controlled, just safe. But far in the woods, something else was watching. A faint sound echoed in the night, not from nature, not from wind. Mechanical whir. A signal, someone or something had found her trail, And next time, it might not be Jake who greets her. She starts to observe him in secret. The fire had died sometime before morning, leaving only warm ash and a light breeze, but Arya didn't sleep. Not fully. Her eyes remained half open, her ears trained on every sound Jake made through the night. He was not like the males of her world, and that unsettled her more than the heat ever did. Back home, males were raised to obey. They didn't speak unless spoken to. They didn't have names. They were vessels. Used. Discarded. But Jake had a name. He had eyes that searched the stars, not the ground. And when she almost claimed him, when her body tried to follow what her race had trained her to do, he didn't push her away in fear. He pulled her back in peace. Why? She needed to know. The next morning, before Jake could wake, Arya slipped into the trees. She moved like a shadow, quiet, sharp, unseen. She watched him from a distance. He cleaned his tools, fixed a broken solar panel, and boiled water from the nearby spring. She noticed how careful he was with his movements. Not lazy, not aggressive, patient. Then something caught her attention. Jake pulled out a small square object from his bag. It blinked softly. A photo. Arya narrowed her eyes. The image showed a young girl and an older woman, maybe his sister, maybe his mother. They stood beside Jake, smiling, but something in Jake's face, even in the photo, looked hollow, broken. He stared at it for a long time. Arya felt something strange in her chest. It wasn't desire, it wasn't duty. It was sadness, for someone else's pain. And that was new to her. Suddenly, Jake wiped his eyes and put the photo away. He stood and looked around. "You're watching me, aren't you?" he said gently. Arya froze. "It's okay," he added. "You don't have to hide." She didn't move. "Not yet. I know you're scared. I would be too." His voice wasn't loud. It didn't demand, it invited. After a long silence, Arya stepped out from behind the tree. Jake smiled but didn't move. He waited for her. As always. "You look stronger today," he said. She nodded once. "Do you understand me?" She hesitated, then slowly said, "Some words." His eyes lit up with surprise. "That's great." Arya lowered her gaze. She didn't know why his approval made her heart feel full. "What is that?" she asked, pointing to his bag. He pulled out the photo again and handed it to her carefully. "My family," he said. "They're gone." Arya touched the photo gently. "You're females?" Jake chuckled. "You could say that. The little one was my sister. She died first. Sickness." Arya's fingers trembled as she handed the photo back. "You lost them?" He nodded. She looked away, ashamed. She had mocked humans once for being fragile. But this fragility, it wasn't weakness. It was strength, hidden in softness. He had survived pain deeper than she could imagine, not by becoming colder, but by staying kind. Suddenly, a sound snapped both their attention. Click, click, whir. Arya's blood turned cold. She knew that sound. Scanners, from her world. Her people had found her trail. They were near. "Hide," she said quickly. Jake raised his eyebrows. "What?" "Now," she repeated, voice sharp, but it was too late. 3 glowing red lights appeared in the forest edge. Then came the machines. Tall, thin, metallic, hunting units, programmed to retrieve breeding females and punish deserters. Arya stepped in front of Jake without thinking. "They are not for you," she said. "They are for me." "What do they want? To take me?" she whispered. "Back to the camps." Jake stared at her. "Will they hurt you?" "Yes. And maybe you too." He clenched his jaw. Then, without a word, Jake grabbed her hand and pulled her into the deeper trees. Arya didn't resist. For the first time in her life, someone was running with her, not from her. They moved fast, ducking under branches, leaping over roots. The machines followed, their light sweeping the forest. Arya felt the burn in her legs, but her heart beat louder than her steps. Not because of fear, because of Jake's hand in hers. He didn't let go, not even once. They reached a cave hidden behind a waterfall, a place Jake had discovered days ago while exploring. They hid there, breathing hard. Wet. Cold. Safe. For now. Arya sat beside him in the dark. Water dripped down the cave walls. "Why did you help me?" she asked finally. Jake looked at her. "Because no one helped me when I needed it," he said. Her eyes softened, and something shifted deep inside her. This was not instinct, not survival. This was the start of something else. Something her people never taught her. Something dangerous, something beautiful. He teaches her something new. Deep inside the cave, the sound of the waterfall covered their breathing. It was dark, wet, and cold. The walls dripped with time. But still, Jake held her hand. Arya had never held hands like this before. In her world, touch was not soft. It was not warm. It was fast, forced, and forgotten. But this touch said something else. It didn't take. It gave. She didn't know what to do with that feeling. Jake looked at her quietly. The machines had stopped searching for now, but Arya knew they would come back. They always came back. Her people never gave up on lost females, not because they cared, but because every female was a resource. Every one of them had one purpose: continue the bloodline. Jake broke the silence. "You're shaking." "I'm not afraid," she said quickly. "I didn't say you were," he replied softly. "I said you're shaking." She looked at her arms. Her skin was wet, cold, trembling. She hated showing weakness. But Jake didn't laugh. He didn't take advantage. He took off his jacket and put it around her shoulders. Arya stared at the fabric like it was some kind of magic. "Why?" she asked. "You helped me run. Now I help you stay warm. That's what people do." "People?" "Those who care, those who feel." Arya didn't reply. She pulled the jacket closer. In her world, emotions were dangerous. They made you slow. They made you fail. But now, here, she felt safer in this cave, with a human who had nothing than she ever did among her own kind. A quiet moment passed. Then Jake spoke again. "Do you want to tell me your name?" She hesitated. No one had ever asked before. Her commanders had called her by number, her mother by title. Males had no names. Females had no need for them. But she remembered it. One word. Small, forgotten, buried, Arya. He smiled. "That's a strong name." Her chest tightened. Strong, not beautiful, not useful, not breeder. Just strong. "What is yours again?" she asked, trying to say it right. "Jake." She said it once, then again, slowly, testing the sound. It was strange on her tongue, but it felt safe. Suddenly, Arya stood up and walked deeper into the cave. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Watch," she said. She reached into the shadows and pulled out a sharp piece of broken metal. Part of her ship. She had hidden it there the night before just in case. She sat down again beside him and placed the metal between them. "If they find us, I will fight," she said. "I will kill if needed." Jake stared at the blade, then at her. "Do you always have to fight?" "Yes," she said without hesitation. "Females fight. We survive. We do not feel." Jake shook his head slowly. "You can feel. That's what makes you real. Feeling makes us weak." "No," he said, voice firmer now. "It makes you human. Arya looked at him sharply. I'm not human. Maybe not by blood, he said. But maybe here. He touched his chest, just over his heart. She didn't understand the meaning fully, but she didn't argue. A strange silence filled the cave, not heavy, not tense. Soft. Tell me what it means, she said finally. This human thing. Jake looked at her for a long moment. It means you care when someone cries. It means you protect not because you have to, but because you want to. It means you see someone's pain and offer them peace. Arya listened like a child hearing a story for the first time. And love? She asked, almost afraid to say the word. Jake didn't smile this time. His voice dropped low, serious. Love is when you choose someone even when you don't have to. When you'd rather suffer with them than live without them. It's not about body, it's about soul. Arya's breath caught. That word again. Choice, not instinct, not command. Choice. No one in her world had ever explained things like this. No one ever took the time to speak gently. Jake did, and every word he said was like water on fire. Calming, honest, dangerous. A noise echoed again. Arya's body tensed. This time it was not a scanner. It was a voice. Female. Unit 6, reporting. Target female not found. Permission to widen search. Zone? Arya's eyes widened. They were close. Closer than before. Jake picked up the blade and gave it to her. You might need this. Arya looked at the blade, then at him. Then she did something no one from her species ever did. She handed it. Back? No, she whispered. Not unless they try to take you. Jake blinked. He didn't understand what that meant fully, but Arya did. She wasn't surviving anymore. She was protecting. Not just herself, but him, because for the first time in her life, she cared, and she was beginning to wonder. Maybe caring wasn't weakness. Maybe it was power. Her past returns to take her back. The cave was silent, but Arya's heart wasn't. It beat harder than it ever had in a battle. Not from fear, not from heat. From something new. Something dangerous. Attachment. She watched Jake sleep, his face, calm even as danger crept closer. He had no armor, no weapons, no idea how cruel her people could be. And yet, he had protected her. Not with strength, with kindness. Arya's hand rested on the blade beside her, but she didn't grip it. Not yet. Her thoughts were louder than footsteps now. What am I becoming? She wasn't supposed to care, she wasn't supposed to hesitate, but every time she looked at him her instinct grew weaker, and her heart grew stronger. The sound came before sunrise, a deep hum, followed by a sharp pulse. Arya stood instantly, tracking signal. They had activated the beacon inside her. Every female was implanted at birth. The device was silent unless she went rogue, and now it was awake, calling them to her. She had maybe minutes. She turned to Jake. He was waking now, eyes blinking slowly. What's wrong? He asked, sitting up. She didn't answer. She grabbed the blade and walked to the mouth of the cave. Then, the sky outside flashed red. 3 sleek ships hovered in the air, silent, cold, and marked with the crest of the breeding lords. Arya's entire body tensed. They sent hunters, elite ones. These weren't machines. They were her own kind. Female. Commanders and worse. Her sister was among them, the strongest of all, Commander Saela. Arya's breath caught in her throat. Jake followed her gaze. They found us, he said. She nodded slowly. What do we do? Arya turned to him. You run. No, you must. I won't. She stepped closer. You're not like us. They will take you, use you, kill you. Then I'll die beside you. Her hand shook. Why was he saying these things? Didn't he understand? Her sister wouldn't just take her back. She would erase her. Erase this change inside her. The ships landed. The wind from their engines blew dust through the trees. Arya stepped out of the cave and faced them. She didn't hide. Commander Saila stepped forward. Tall, sharp, heartless. "You've shamed our name," she said. Arya didn't blink. "I made a choice. You don't get choices. You're female. You breed, you fight, you obey. Not anymore." Sayla's face twitched. "You think the human gave you strength? He made you weak." "No," Arya said. "He reminded me I was never weak, just trapped." Sayla raised her hand. 2 guards moved forward. Arya held up the blade. "I won't go back." Sayla laughed. "You think you can stop us?" "No," came Jake's voice. He stepped beside Arya, unarmed, unafraid, but steady. "We'll stop you. Together." Sayla's eyes narrowed. "Kill him," she ordered. A pulse weapon charged. Arya didn't think. She moved faster than thought, threw her body in front of Jake. The blast hit her shoulder, hard, burning, deep. She fell to her knees. Blood poured. Jake caught her before she hit the ground. "Arya!" he shouted. Her eyes fluttered. "I'm fine," she whispered. But she wasn't. She was losing blood fast. Sayla stepped closer. "You'd rather die for a human?" Arya looked up, her vision blurring. "Yes." A hush fell over the forest. Even, the guards paused. Sayla stared at her sister. Something in her eyes cracked. Not anger, not pride, but confusion. She had never seen love, not once, and now it stood bleeding before her. Arya coughed. Jake held her tighter. "You need help," he said. "No," she said softly. "You need to live. Not without you." She smiled through pain. "You sound like one of us." "You sound like one of us," he replied. The moment hung in the air like a breath no one could take. Then, something impossible happened. Sayla lowered her weapon. The guards looked at her. "Stand down," she said. "But..." "I said stand down." Arya blinked in disbelief. Sayla stepped forward and crouched beside her. "You changed," she whispered. "I don't understand it, but I see it." She looked at Jake. "Protect her. If she dies, you die." Jake nodded. "I would anyway." Sayla stood. "We will not return for her," she said. "But if command finds out, we won't stop them." She turned, her cloak flowing behind her. Within seconds, the ships vanished. Arya lay in Jake's arms, her body broken, her heart full. He touched her face gently. "You saved me." She smiled. "No," she whispered. "You saved me." The human stands between her and her kind. Arya drifted in and out of darkness. Her body was cold. Her shoulder burned. She felt weightless, like she was floating between 2 worlds. One of pain and one of peace. But one thing remained steady through it all. His voice. Jake spoke softly near her ear. Even when she couldn't answer, he told her stories. About Earth, about oceans and cities she'd never seen, about a small yellow flower that could grow even in cracks of stone. "You're like that flower," he whispered. "You bloom in places you shouldn't, and that's why they're afraid of you." Arya didn't understand all his words, but she understood one thing. He hadn't left. Days passed. Jake built a shelter just outside the cave using broken metal and tree bark. He scavenged healing roots and crushed them into paste. Every night he checked her wound, cleaned it, wrapped it again, and every time she opened her eyes, she saw the same thing. Him. Watching, waiting, hoping. But the danger wasn't over. Across the stars, news was spreading. A female from the breeding camps had refused her purpose. Not only that, she had chosen a human over her people. In the Empire, that was more than betrayal. It was rebellion, and rebellion sparked fire. On the 12th day, Arya finally sat up without pain. The wound had closed, but something deeper inside her had opened. She stepped out of the shelter and saw Jake carving something on the cave wall. A symbol. Her symbol. "What is that?" she asked softly. He looked up, surprised. "You're awake." "I've been listening," she said. "I heard everything." He smiled. "Then you know how boring I am." "You're not," she said. "You're the only male I've ever seen who fights without fists." He stood and took her hand gently. "Are you strong enough?" She nodded. "Stronger than before." They sat together under the stars that night. "Your sister let us go," Jake said. "Do you think others will?" Arya shook her head. "No, they won't forgive this. They'll come. Then we'll be ready." "Jake," he turned to her. "You could leave, you don't have to stay." "I know. They might kill you." "Then let them try." She looked down. "Why?" His answer was simple. "Because when I lost everything, I thought love was gone. Then, you showed me it wasn't." Her breath caught in her throat. "I don't understand this feeling." "Neither do I," he said. "But I know it's real." Suddenly a soft beep echoed from Jake's pack. He pulled out his old comm device, one he thought was dead. A message blinked on the screen. "Human male. Jake Thomas. Identified. Breach of Alien Contact Law 17B surrender requested." Arya stepped back. "They found you." "No," he said. "They found us." A light lit up in the distance. Another ship, but this time, not hers. This one was human, government. They were here to retrieve Jake, or punish him. Arya's hand moved to her blade. "If they take you, I'll fight them." "No," Jake said calmly. "This time, I'll stand between you and my kind." The ship landed. Armed soldiers stepped out. One of them spoke. "Jake Thomas. You're in violation of interspecies contact protocol." "She saved my life," Jake said. "I won't let you harm her." "We're not here for her," the officer replied. "We're here to silence what she represents." "Then you'll have to silence me too." The officer hesitated. Jake stood tall, unyielding. Arya stepped beside him. The human soldiers looked at her with caution, but Jake didn't move. His body was the wall between them, and Arya saw it, truly saw it. He was no longer just the kind man with stories. He was her shield, her equal, her choice. The officer looked at them both, then gave the order. "Stand down. This story's already out. If we hurt them now, the whole system will burn." The soldiers returned to their ship. As they left, Arya turned to Jake. "What just happened?" He smiled. "We became a threat." "How?" "Because we proved something neither side wanted to admit." "What's that?" "That love is stronger than control." The stars above seemed to shine brighter, but neither of them looked up. They only looked at each other. Love, not instinct. A week passed, then two, and still, no one came. But Jake knew that silence didn't mean safety, and Arya, she knew better than anyone what came before the storm. They were being watched. Both sides, her people and his, were waiting. Not with weapons, not with fleets, with questions. What happens next? Their story had leaked. Somehow, someone from Jake's side had captured the moment. Arya shielding him from her own kind. Jake standing in front of her against human soldiers. The image had gone viral, planet to planet. A female warrior from a breeding world. A lone human without armor. Choosing each other. Not because they were told. Not because of survival. But because of something old, something forbidden. Love. And it scared the galaxy more than any war ever had. Arya sat on the roof of their small shelter, staring at the stars. Her shoulder had healed, but her thoughts had not. She was different now. Her people would never accept her back. And the humans, they only tolerated her because of Jake. She didn't belong anywhere, not anymore. She heard his footsteps behind her. "Thinking again?" he asked gently. "I always think now," she replied. He sat beside her. "I used to survive without thought," she continued. "Eat, fight, breed, repeat. I didn't question. Now I can't stop questioning. That's how you know you're free. She looked at him. But I'm not, she said. Not really. Your people still watch me. My people still hate me. Then maybe we don't need their approval. And do what? Keep hiding? Jake was silent. Then he stood and reached for her hand. Come with me. She followed. They walked through the woods to the old crash site of her ship. Burned metal, twisted panels and silence, but Jake had added something new. A transmitter, broadcasting one signal. We are not enemies. We are proof that the old ways are broken. We are alive, and we choose love. Arya stared at it. You did this? He nodded. I thought, maybe someone out there is like you. Like me. Lost. Afraid. Waiting for a reason to hope. Arya felt something rise inside her, something heavy. Emotion. What if they come to kill us, she asked. Then let them, Jake said. But at least they'll see what we stood for. Suddenly, the transmitter blinked. A reply. Not one. Dozens. Ships from scattered worlds. Outcasts, rebel females, escaped males. Even humans who didn't trust their own government anymore. The signal had lit a spark. And now, it was fire. Within a day, the sky was filled with strange crafts. None had weapons. All carried one message. We choose our own path. Arya watched them land. For the first time, she wasn't the only one different. She was no longer alone. Her people sent a final message. Cold, direct. If you do not return, your bloodline will be erased. Arya didn't flinch. She stood before Jake and the others and replied, then let it end. I won't be a tool for instinct. I choose love. I choose freedom. The message went silent. But the war didn't come, because something bigger had started, an idea. And ideas cannot be killed. Weeks turned into months. They built a village. Not a camp. Not a prison. A place where species mixed. Where emotion wasn't weakness. Where names were given. Not numbers. And in the center of it all, Arya and Jake planted a tree. A yellow flower bloomed from its base like the one Jake had told her about. A flower that grew in cracks. Just like them. On the day they stood under it and joined hands, no priest spoke. No rule was followed. Only one promise was made. Not by blood, Jake said. Not by duty, Arya replied. But by choice, they said together. And the galaxy watched and trembled. Not because of a war, but because one human taught one alien. Woman, that love was not a weakness, it was the most powerful rebellion of all.